Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So the last time when we mentioned here, we said that the master had the right to marry of his Abde Madjun Ma'azun, right, to a woman. And that woman will have to stand in line with all the other people that he owes. You understand it? Right. So then they said that he, by marrying off, the master was acting within his rights, right? But however, when the nikah happened, then there's such a dain which came about, which cannot be rejected. That is the dain of the meher. So he owes now the meher. So intentionally, the master is not trying to deprive the other creditors. You understand? But what happens is he's just acting within his right. But by him marrying off his slave boy, then automatically this other debt also becomes. So she'll stand in the line now. Now, when she stands also in the line with all the others, that means each one's share becomes smaller. You understand it? Each one's share becomes smaller. It's like when you maybe go to a dawah, then more and more people coming and the food is less. Then the more people come, then each one will get less. Right. فَشَابَهَ دَيْنَ الْإِسْتِهْلَاقِ. So they say it resembles, this meher resembles the death of destroying. In other words, when the slave boy now, he's already drowning in debt. He's already drowning in debt now. So the master is going to release him. He's going to be sold to pay for his debts. And not everybody is going to get their full amount, right? They'll all get percentage wise to what's owed to them. Right. Then in during this process, while this process is happening, the slave boy when they go destroy somebody's something. You understand? So that man also now joins the queue. You got that now? Right. وصار كالمريض المديون إذا تزوج امرأة فبمهر مثلها أسوة للغرماء. So this must like just like the sick person, right? He's about to pass away now, right? Um, but he's also drowning in debt, right? When he marries a woman, right? Uh, you won't say he's drowning in debt. He's also got debts upon him, right? And when he marries a woman, then to the extent of her mehri misal, she'll be equal to the creditors. You understand it? So either she's drowning in debt, right? So now, or he's the sick person is drowning in debt, right? He's drowning in debt, and then now this woman he married, so she'll also come in the line now. That's one way you can look at it. Or either if he's not drowning in debt, then up to her mehri misal, that's another debt that has to be paid. Although we know he's going to die anytime now. Although we know he's going to die anytime, he doesn't really need to. Okay, maybe he needs to get married, right? But if you look at it from the outside thing, well, the sick person is trying to deprive his heirs from getting. So he marries this woman. You understand it? But nevertheless, that's his right. That's his right to get married. You can't stop him from that. So when he gets married, he acted on his right. And yes, the the after consequence or the consequences of that is that now suddenly the heir shares will be less, right? And also, you understand, the heir shares will be left, and also she's going to inherit now as being the wife, right? ومن زوج أمته فليس عليه أن يبوئ بيت الزوج. Whoever marries of his female slave, it's not binding upon him to allow her to spend the night in the house of the husband. Understand it? It's not binding upon him to release his slave girl to her husband now. ولكنها تخدم المولى ويقول لزوجي متى ظفرت بها وتئتها ومتى yeah. And however, she will serve the master, and it will be said to the husband that when you get a chance with her, you may make wati with her. Right. لأن حق المولى في الاستخدام باق, because the right of the master in taking service is still remaining. والتبرية إبطال له, and allowing her to spend the nights there will cancel off that right of istikdam. فإن بوأها معه بيتا فلها النفقة والسكنة. Then if he allows her to spend in the night with him in a house or at his house, then for her is nafka and sukna. Then now the husband is start paying nafka and sukna. You understand it? Wa illa fala. And if not, then not. In other words, when she's still staying by the master, then he doesn't have to pay any nafqa and sukna. لأن النفقة تقابل الاحتباس. This is important usul. Because this nafqa comes in lieu of keeping back. That's why this nafqa is paid. Even in iddah too, the woman is sitting back at home, right? Why? For the husband. Ihtibas. You understand? She's held back at home. So therefore, he has to pay for nafqa during iddah also. ولو بوأ بيتا ثم بدا له أن يستخدمها له ذلك. And if he allows her to spend the night in a house with him, right? Then it appears to him to take her service, then he can do that. He can call her back again and say, okay, no, you start staying this side now. You understand it? لأن الحق باق لبقاء الملك فلا يسقط بالتبوية. Because the right is still remaining due to the continuation of the ownership. So it will not drop off with allowing her to spend the night. كما لا يسقط بالنكاح. Just as it didn't drop off when he got her married. You got it now? Right. قال المصنف رحمة الله عليه ذكر تزويج المولى عبده أو وأمته ولم يذكر رضاهما وهذا يرجع إلى مذهبنا إن للمولى إجبارهما على النكاح. Right. Musannif Rahmatullah say that Imam Muhammad Rahmatullah mentioned that marrying of the master marrying of his slave boy and his slave girl, and he didn't mention their happiness. So this returns to our mazhab that indeed it's permissible for the master to force them upon nikah. You understand it? He can force them upon nikah. The master can force them upon nikah. وعند الشافعي رحمه الله لا إجبار في العبد وهو رواية عن أبي حنيفة رحمة الله عليه. And according to Imam Shafi رحمه الله, you can't force the slave boy to marry, right? And there's also a riwayat from Imam Hanifa رحمة الله عليه لأن النكاح من خصائص الآدمية والعبد داخل تحت ملك المولى من حيث أنه مال فلا يملك إنكاحه. They say because marrying is from the specialities of being a man, right? And the slave boy, he enters under the ownership of the master from this aspect that he is wealth, and not from the aspect that he is a man. You understand it? So therefore, the master's got power over the slave boy from this angle that he is my wealth, but not that from the aspect that he's a man, not from that aspect. You understand it? Right. So فَلَا يَمْلِكُ إِنْكَاحَهُ. So therefore he cannot have the power to marry him off according to this riwayat now. Right? بِخِلَافِ الْأَمَةِ. Contrary to the female slave, لِأَنَّهُ مَالِكٌ مَنَافِعَ بُضْعِهَا وَيَمْلِكُ تَمْلِيكَهَا. Because the master, he's the owner of the benefits of her buddha. So therefore he owns making her making owner of it. You understand? He has the power to give somebody the owner of the benefits of that buddha. So therefore he can force the slave girl to marry, but he can't force the slave girl because he don't own the private parts of the slave boy. You understand? So therefore he cannot force the slave boy. This is according to the riwayat. But what we say, وَلَنَا أَنَّ الْإِنْكَاحَ إِصْلَاحُ مِلْكِهِ. Our dalil is that marrying his slave boy off is the correcting of his ownership. لأن فيه تحصينه عن الزنا الذي هو سبب الهلاك والنقصان. Because in it, right, in marrying, in getting his slave boy married, is protecting the slave boy from zina, which is the means of destruction and loss. In other words, if this, by marrying him off, he's protecting his wealth. How? That now the slave boy saves himself from zina. Because if he didn't marry off, he gets involved in zina. And in zina, he's either going to die himself, or he's going to get lashes, or his value going to drop because don't ever buy this one. You understand it? He's a zani. فَيَمْلِكُهُ اعتبارا بالأمة. Right. So he will own the master will have the power to do to marry off his slave boy, making qiyas on how he's got the power to marry off his slave girl. بخلاف المكاتبة والمكاتبة لأنهما التحقا بالأحرار تصرفا ويشترط رضاهما. contrary to these mukatab slave and mukataba slave now, because they have become joined up with free people in transacting. So therefore, their happiness has been made a condition. The slave boy and the mukatab slave and the mukataba slave, he can't marry them off without their happiness. Why? Because they've already got their freedom when it comes to transacting. You understand it? They're transacting on their own. He's got no power. They're allowed to transact because they're working to pay their badla kitabat. So therefore, their happiness is a condition. Right, let's just maybe do this. The ayat, this next one. ومن زوج أمته ثم قتلها قبل أن يدخل بها زوجها فلا مهر لها عند أبي حنيفة رحمة الله عليه. Whoever marries off his a female slave, then he killed his own female slave, right? Before her husband could make dukhul with her, then there's no meher for her, according to Imam Bani for rahmatullah alayhi. You understand it? Because now he killed his own female slave. Because when he married off his female slave, he benefited by getting meher, right? But now in this case, he married her and then he killed her. Right. وقال عليه المهر لمولاها اعتبارا بموتها حتف أنفها. And Saibin say, upon the husband is meher for her master, making qiyas on her dying a normal death. That just as when she died a normal death, the husband has to pay the full meher to the master. Likewise here, when the master kills her, the husband must pay the full meher to the master. Right. Okay, leave it to me.